That's new. Hi, everyone. I am Honesty Liller with the McKenzie Foundation, and we're here to, I haven't done the podcast in forever, so this is going to be a super cool, super fun, no script whatsoever, Get in the Herd podcast today. If you do not know me, I am a woman in long-term recovery. What that means to me is I have been drug and alcohol free for over 13 years. I am a proud alum of the McKenzie Foundation, coming through these doors a long time ago, and getting my life that I have today through the process of my own personal recovery. And I'm the CEO of McKenzie and a ton of other hats that I wear that we're going to discuss throughout the day. But I have two very, very special guests. I will be crying during this hour. There is no question that I will not be crying.
Which means I will too.
Yeah. So Rachel Kelly here has been with me even longer than 13 years. She knew me when I got back from a 28-day program treatment place where I met my husband. Hey. And she took me in pretty much as in the 12-step fellowship and started guiding me early on. I was about 25 years old. And for me back then, I went to the 12-step fellowship, and then I had the boy that I met in treatment, and I did not stay in recovery. And I share this sometimes. So, if you're in 12-step, you're supposed to run important decisions past your sponsor. And for me, for Adam here in Virginia, I ran it past her. She said, I don't remember exact words, but she's like, that's probably not a good idea, because I was about 2 months in recovery, and I heard, hell yes. What color are the drapes? So I moved him in. Ultimately, we both had a reoccurrence of use, and we used for about a year. But when I walked through McKenzie's doors, her now husband was here. I remember seeing him on the stoop. I mean, I was on the stoop, dope sick, withdrawn from heroin. And he offered to help me, to pay for medication, like all of this stuff all these years ago. And then I asked her to be my sponsor again, and I haven't left. And she was my sponsor for 12 years of my recovery, and she has grown up with me through this process. So that is Rachel. And then I'm going to let them talk, but I'm just going to introduce really quick. Again, no script. We're just winging this. So to my right is McKenzie Payne. So the story and my through McKenzie, her husband, Daniel Payne, was the executive director of McKenzie over 13 years ago. And when I came into McKenzie, I had a daughter that was 5 that I could not be the mother to her from womb until she was 5 years old. I had nothing. I had no job. I had a Jeep on a car title loan. I had no money. My parents, my mom, Derby, she knew John, and kind of just, this was my last ditch effort after 9 years from my heroin addiction, trying to get fixed and getting better. So Daniel, the amazing man he was, he took a chance on me. I was here at McKenzie for about a week, just doing, the program or the groups and stuff. And he hired me to clean these houses and in these stores and like mulch and pull weeds with old Altella. I didn't understand like really what recovery was until I came to McKenzie. And for me, recovery is love, is helping someone no matter what, and guiding someone. So Daniel and McKenzie were married, and working through Daniel's small company that's now very successful and huge. I got the opportunity to meet McKenzie, and again, I could not take care of my own daughter, and they took a chance on me and let me babysit their son Jack, and he was about 1 year old. And that's when my relationship with McKenzie started, pretty much probably about the 3rd week or something here at McKenzie. And so we've all been friends for a very long time, and that's how special they are to me. So if you guys want to take a minute to kind of introduce, do we have tissues back there? I'll use my mask. I got my mask. Okay, go ahead, Rach.
Oh, me. No, yes. You go. No,
I'm still drying my tears over here.
All right. So I am a really grateful person in recovery today, and I've been clean and sober since August 25th of 2004. So God willing, I'll celebrate my sweet 16 later this month. And I've grown up in recovery. I got sober when I was 21 years old. So I was like, thought that 21 was going to mean like the height of my life and like all the partying I could possibly muster. And, you know, in my true fashion, 21 was when I decided that like I shouldn't be drinking anymore or using substances.
Tell them why.
So, you know, I don't know how much detail to go into. So I started using substances at 18 that I never thought I would use. And that continued on for a couple years through an abusive relationship and through a stint in treatment. And I just continued to feed a what is it called? You know, a round hole with a square peg. And so when I was 21, I decided after I got out of treatment that I was no longer going to use those substances because they were bad for me. They, you know, had me in, you know, just not living to my true self. So I decided that like, now that I was 21, it was perfectly appropriate for me to just start drinking. And I am such a master manipulator. Like I got family on board. I mean, you know, everybody believed that like this was going to be okay. Or maybe I just thought they believed that. I don't know. They probably actually didn't. If they probably weren't as supportive as I thought they were. From January of 2004 to August of 2004, I found myself with 3 DUIs. And,
yeah, girl,
you know, it just, it was a pretty soul crushing year. And, I went down a path with alcohol that I really didn't ever see myself going down. So when I woke up, on the morning of August 25th in a hospital, with my mom, you know, just crying at my bedside, I decided that like, you know, there was more to my life than how I had been living it. So I've been sober since that day. And, you know, recovery has afforded me, I mean, more dreams than I literally ever thought possible. I remember being in treatment and they told us to like, you know, write down on a list, like what the 5 things we wanted to accomplish in the first year. And if we knew, if we could see into the future, like we would far surpass those expectations. But I, you know, my list was like a rich boyfriend and a car and, you know, a pretty place to live. And, you know, like that's where my mind was. You know, I'm so grateful that what I didn't even see coming, my God did see coming for me, you know, and what almost 16 years in recovery has afforded me has been going through nursing school and becoming a registered nurse, even when my first nursing professor told me that I would never ever be able to successfully pass the boards because of my history, and that the Board of Nursing would never give me a license. And so, you know, I rode on some faith for a few years and like did accomplish that. And, you know, like those are things that only being in recovery and being surrounded by women that said, like, you can do this, you know, we will support you and we will love you and we will hold your hand when you need it and we will carry you when you need it, or we will just walk beside you when you need it. And, you know, so that's just like one of the many examples of what recovery has meant to me. You know, now I find myself, you know, I left my nursing career a few years ago when my 3rd son was born. So now I'm a mom of 3 young boys and I'm staying at home with them. And, like this whole quarantine thing was not in the job description when I decided that, my children were going to become my bosses, but that's okay. Like we have struggled through it and we are surviving. I'm happily married to a man that's also in recovery. And so some days that's hard and some days it's wonderful, but like, it's been an amazing journey. And, I have some women today that are like closer to me than friends. Like I don't have sisters, but they are, and those are just a few of the things that like I'm really grateful for sitting here today.
Tell our audience really quick how long you stayed in recovery and still didn't have a driver's license.
That's what I was going to say.
And how you survived and didn't have, well, you did have tantrums and stuff too, but how you overcame that and how many years you didn't have a driver's license and you're still here today.
So I didn't have a driver's license for the first 5 years of my recovery. I went from 21 to 26 without a car, mode of transportation, or a driver's license. And during those 5 years, I went to a 12-step meeting almost every day, and I went through nursing school. So,
Can I just add real quick that we were friends for like 2 years, and I didn't even know that Rachel didn't have a driver's license. So I was going to say the same thing. Like it is so amazing the lengths you went to stay clean and sober.
And what's funny about it is like, during those 5 years, like that was so big. I never thought it would end. I thought it was like, the worst struggle that I was ever going to go through. And like, here I am with 15 years in recovery. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So that just shows you that like this too shall pass. And what we are living in at the moment is, we're going to get through it, but, so for 5 years, I had to call someone every day to get a ride to a 12-step meeting. And I rode that darn GRTC bus to and from school and clinicals Monday through Friday. I mean, pouring down rain, snowstorms, because like nursing school doesn't get canceled because like hospitals stay open. And it was a huge struggle, but I also know looking back that what that did for me then was bring me some humility that I did not want or ever thought I would get. And it also brought me so close to so many people in the program because I was forced to call people every single day and, reach out to them and ride in the car with them when it was like uncomfortable and I didn't know them very well, but like I had to talk to people every single day. And I know today that had I been able to drive myself to meetings, especially in the beginning, I would have driven myself to the bar. I would not ever have gotten myself to a meeting. So, and years later, the judge that ruled on that case, I saw him, he was awarded something through the McShin Foundation, and I was able to go over to him and tell him like, thank you for that, because I was real mad. And, but he saved my life. And he told me he'd never heard that before. He'd never had somebody thank him for giving them a punishment. So that was pretty amazing. But yeah, it's like those things, it's amazing how I can forget things that were just so like encompassing at the time.
And they didn't have Uber back then.
No, there was no Uber.
And I remember as a newcomer taking you to the grocery store and stuff. And I was like, wait, isn't the sponsor supposed to be helping me? Like, what is happening? No. But yes, and that's so true. Like some of the stuff that I've been in my personal recovery, it's like, gosh, that ain't even nothing compared to like other bigger things going on, All right, McKenzie, who are you? What are you doing here?
I am McKenzie Payne, and I'm a wife and a mother and a business owner and a woman in long-term recovery. And my sobriety date is January 23rd, 2004. So, as Rachel and I, and honestly, we've all been friends for a really long time. But as I was actually listening to your story on this platform, I was like, gosh, we really are so similar. Like we share the same year of getting sober. We both have 3 boys, you know, anyway. So yeah, I got, sober, you know, I like to party. And, so I like to party a little too hard, and alcohol was my drug of choice. And I, did a little drugs, which took me downhill pretty quick, which I'm really grateful for, because, I was ending up, you know, staying up all night and was hanging out with people I never thought I'd hang out with, doing things I never thought I would do. And so for that, I'm really grateful, because it got me into a 12-step program quicker, I think, than if I had just stayed with alcohol. And I actually came into this program because I saw in someone else how it changed their life. And I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look. Am I looking at a camera? Am I looking
Just
at
all
y'all?
over. I'm looking and
Okay.
checking my hair because
Okay.
it was sticking up earlier. I mean, just looking at Todd's new fresh shave. Todd.
So
It doesn't matter here.
okay.
We're
And
just here.
so I saw, you know, they say in the program, attraction rather than promotion. And that's how I got into the 12-step program of recovery. I went to a meeting every day for at least the first year of recovery, at least 1 or 2 meetings a day. And I just did what I was told to do, basically. Back then, life was pretty simple, you know, it was go to a meeting every day, go get coffee, eat food, you know, stay clean, stay sober, call your sponsor. Like that was it. Work the steps. And, you know, I feel like in my life, you know, I learned to live in this program and I feel like before I was just existing in this world, with no real purpose. I wanted like purpose in my life, but I couldn't really find it, even though I was reading all the self-help books, and I would try to stop drinking on my own, and I would just eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day and gain 10 pounds in a month because I didn't know how to deal with all the other things that were going on within me. So, yeah, I've been through, you know, we don't get out of this thing unscathed. So my brother is actually the reason that I got sober, because his problem was way worse than mine. And so then he got sober, and then I fell off the deep end. And so he's the one who I saw his life change. So I came into the program, and then my brother ended up going back out. He ended up passing away. And you know, that was probably the hardest thing in my life so far. And I remember like when he died, the people who showed up were all the people in the program, like all of my friends and the people that I didn't even know were my friends, like were at my house bringing me food. And I had a 18-month-old and I was pregnant with my second son. And you know, that's just a true testament. Like this program is filled with so much love, and, you know, people show up, and that's, I think, what we're taught to do. Like if someone asks you for help, you say yes, you know? And I think that if anyone who isn't in a 12-step program had the opportunity to attend a 12-step meeting, I would encourage that, just because, you know, I think it is, you know, they say in the AA program, it is a design for living for every human being, you know. I'm just so grateful that I learned how to like be accountable. I have learned, you know, how to kind of go inward, clean up my own closet internally, externally, you know, right when I'm wrong. You know, like it's basically this super simple way to live that the 12 steps has offered me and millions and millions of people. So I know there are probably people that are in, you know, newly in recovery listening, and people maybe not in recovery, but who love other people in recovery. And you know, this is a really devastating disease. And you know, like we are miracles sitting here. You know, like we've been doing this for a while together. And so, you know, it's not always, it's, you know, like we are like these blessings that sit here that have been doing this for 16 and 13 years together, you know, and that's like, you know, it's kind of uncommon. So, and I just wanted to touch on, like, a friend of mine had texted me last night about a friend that lost her battle with addiction. And, you know, it's just like, you know, so well, you know, working here at McShin, like, it is just, you know, I hate to be the Debbie Downer over here, but I would, you know, if I didn't mention it, you know, I think we can sit here and laugh and joke and, you know, and forget, like you said, like we forget, you know, what it was like because our life is so good today, you know, doesn't mean that it's not hard and that we don't have our ups and downs, but, you know, like one of our good friends that we all got sober with, you know, our age died recently drinking herself to oblivion and, you know, her body couldn't take it anymore. So I just, you know, I think that I'm just really grateful. And, you know, we can sit here and laugh and joke, you know, and then the people who aren't in recovery are like, why are they laughing and joking? What is wrong with them? This is serious.
That does not sound funny.
Right. So, but yeah, anyway, yeah, I just wanted to take a moment there to just get serious on the subject because I often think about, like, you guys have always showed up for me, like all these years, every time, every milestone, like anything I've ever done, you guys are always there, no matter what. So thank you.
Yeah, and like I know you were both at my wedding, and we were at your wedding, and there for the kids' birth, and all that. And it's like that stuff is the true blessing. Like I never had girlfriends when I was using. I had like a couple like friends, but I ended up like sleeping with their boyfriend or like wanting to, and she would like want to fight me or something. That's another whole topic, but it's like I always hung out with dudes. I just never had close-knit friends. And like what recovery has taught me and you know, literally I've been in my recovery since practically day one. And we've gotten our lives. And I mean, we've never, because you've had to kind of be in my life because you're my sponsor. But, you know, and we get our kids and our lives and but like, I don't know, I guess we still, like, even if we didn't talk every day or hang out, it's like when we did, we're just old friends, you know, and that's like the tools and the stuff that recovery teaches us, you know, is like true love, not fake shit. Ooh, CEO, not fake stuff. I just thought we were here alone. You know, and not, you know, but that real vulnerable, I saw Hunter post that like the vulnerability piece of recovery is what's gotten me here all these years later, hands down, not being fake. And I have been fake in some of my recovery for sure in different areas of my life. And like the sense of freedom to be able to like, especially these two, the stuff that I have been through in my marriage, here at McShin, just in my being a mom, and it's them two and maybe two other people on earth that and besides my God, you know, like that is what I truly believe is the heartbeat of recovery is like getting vulnerable with the people that you trust, no matter how many times we talk about like literally throwing our kid out the window, like for real, like
probably today we talked about
like,
it,
I mean, just like, I mean, no harm to children here. We love them, but like the stuff that humans go through, and you were touching on like, you know, 12-step program. And like, I wish all humans had some form of knowledge or experience, whether it's the steps or faith-based or whatever pathway, but like has some form of recovery, because I just think this world would be just such a better place if, and just a loving and open-minded world if that happened. So you earth people out there need to get your program. So, all right, let's change gears just a little. So that's our stories, a little bit of our versions of our stories. Being women, let's touch on that really quick. For me, I feel even parts of my recovery, whether it's working here, being, under John's wing, or to be honest, being in his shadow for so many years, I felt like the first, this ain't gonna be a therapy session or nothing, but this is just real life, just like being a woman in society, being a mother, being a business owner, or what have you. I feel like there's still, and I think we're breaking down the barriers, but I feel like there's still negative outlook of women using. Like we get more stigmatized because we're supposed to be the wives or the children. These are just what I see in the profession that I'm in. And when we do get in recovery, so I tell these girls all the time, man, like y'all are spoiled. Like when I came into recovery, it was like 15 women or something throughout that would come through here. And it could have been a little bit more, but like now there's so many women staying in long-term recovery, and it is like phenomenal. So I guess like y'all touch on if y'all want to, like, I feel still sometimes expectations in my home as being the wife and the mom, especially now. And we're going to touch on COVID and what school's going to look like, because I know one of our female houses, our program house, is watching this, and a lot of them are moms, and touching on the mom thing, but more of like the empowering of women. So for me in my personal recovery, I guess, specifically for the past, this past year, I want to say, has been some spiritual, emotional, badass changes in my life as far as, I'm not going to put up with certain people, places, and things anymore. I listen to podcasts all the time now instead of music. And I was listening to Oprah and Kevin Hart this morning. And, and I hear this regularly, and I think it's God telling me, like, this is our one life, right? This is our one life. And we just talked about our using and our addiction, and we can still keep touching on that, but more of like, this is our one life. How are we going to live it? Right. Mm-hmm. So for me, my recovery has changed and evolved to a more spiritual, more wellness, more sitting with myself. I do a bunch of different things for my recovery. I don't go to 12-step meetings anymore. Let's put this out there. I don't. Not saying I'm not going to. I feel like my recovery has evolved. And what that means is I'm really digging into new stuff, or like big girl stuff, like being a mom and a wife and a CEO and business owners and what we do. It's like, I think, I know for me, I've gotten complacent throughout the years of my recovery, and that's been a detriment of my relationships and my character defects and everything. But I'm in the pathway of like making some radical changes in my life right now. I'm telling you what, man. And I just started this stuff, and I just truly believe in it now. Like, I know you're supposed to be just for today and like not like, all that stuff. And I respect that. But why not make this the best freaking day of your life today? Yeah. Like, live in the now, and Deepak. So I'm on this podcast, Oprah, Soul Sundays with Oprah. So Deepak said, he's like, the most important thing you can ever do is now. Like, not a week from now, not my hundreds of lists that I have, like now, that makes who you are is right now. So last night I'm in this goddess program with Sarah Dave. Shout out to her. It's just amazing. It's just an inner, deeper, like, holy moly, like situation. But I'm doing my personal vision statement. So I don't know, you've probably done one, but I'm working on it. And I had to stop last night. So I started on it, and like, whatever doesn't serve me in that personal vision statement, get out, you know what I mean? So I don't know. So I guess just touch on like where you're at now, and we're going to get to the kids and husband. Well, we won't talk about husbands, but we'll get to the kids and stuff. And like, also I wanted to kind of touch in a little bit, like what it looks like in your home moving forward for those, like what I I don't know if it's a fear, because I do see death, a ton of it. My core is seeping with pain for others.
Sure.
We just got the memorial garden and talking to all these families. We're doing a brick for Luke. I already talked to your mama. And gosh, and just the words that they put, and it's like, I have 2 children, and Destiny, the situation could have been so much different for her. Like, it could have been so much different for her. She was born in withdrawal of heroin, you know, and I have to feel my gratitude every single day of my life. And I just took advantage of that for a long time in my recovery. And now it's just like, I have to wake up every day and not necessarily be happy and like everything is great, but like I really feel my life today. And that's from y'all fucking y'all. And I mean, come on, just again, that's part of my vision statement. So sorry. I'm not sorry.
We're adults here.
Yeah, I know. Cool. But anyway, so I'm kind of just, I'm gonna get too emotional. But so just maybe touch on like some things that you guys had to overcome, I guess, as a woman in recovery. Because like I said, I've had to overcome, and I truly believe it is not, and Kevin Hart said this morning, even though he's awesome and a millionaire and all that, like, he's like, I am not cocky whatsoever. I am confident in the skin that I am. And that's what we try to teach everyone here at McShin. Like, just be confident no matter what it is in the skin that you're in. It took me, I'm at 40 in a couple months, it took me 39 years, 39 to like even attempt. I was talking about body image earlier, and that's another whole episode we'll do. But like, I am confident in this body and this brain and this face, these glasses, laughing at myself, all of that. I am truly confident. I can look at whatever camera, Todd. I'm confident. You know what I mean? And I teach my daughter to be, and hopefully I'm teaching the women at McShin to be. And so if y'all want to talk about like overcoming things as women, because I know of things both of you have overcome as women in recovery, you know, just to kind of tell the audience like out there, like there's so much blessings to recovery, but also this is life. Like this is stuff happens to us, you know, we lose, you know, our loved ones, or, you know, we switch careers to be God bless you, girl, both of y'all 3 kids. God knew I couldn't handle that. So he gave me McShin Foundation, but I got a bunch of kids here for real. But if you just want to just chat about that real quick.
Go ahead. Unless you want me to go.
Remember, it's recorded in live. So
one thing I was thinking as Honesty was talking was, you know, my transition when I moved from being a nurse working full time in a hospital. I had 2 kids, and then when my 3rd was born, I decided to make the move to being a stay-at-home mom, and like that role came with a lot of changes in my life. And it was really, and it was still to this day, and it's been 3.5 years, have had to really work on my communication with my husband about, you know, like being a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean being a stay-at-home cook and maid and, you know, like literally all of the things. And, but sometimes it does, but sometimes it means me being like, okay, I need the night off, and being able to communicate that effectively, because I can be just like a little bit of a passive aggressive person, like just a little. And, you know, not becoming, because I spent off and on many years getting resentful about what I wasn't getting, like what my needs weren't getting met, but his needs were getting met. And, you know, just through like a lot of communication. And I know like McKenzie can identify with this because I've had to talk to her about many of those, you know, trials going through that. But like literally just as small as a conversation about, hey, I'm actually going to leave when you get home today and be by myself for an hour, you know, and just instead of sitting at home being like, I can't believe I don't have any time alone, you know, and, you know, so just talking, and as small and mediocre, like as that sounds, is huge, you know, so recovery. And I was telling somebody just the other day, I remember the first time I effectively communicated in recovery, because for whatever reason, I did not learn that as a child.
No,
I don't think it was my parents' fault, or, you know, it just never happened. So I'll never forget the first time I had to like have a healthy confrontation with someone in recovery. And he said something ridiculous to me when I was a newcomer, and it may or may not be somebody's brother in this building. And I told my sponsor about it, and she said, we're going to go talk to him. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to him about it. I'm just going to talk to you about it and to everybody else about it. And she's like, no, we're going to go talk to him, but I'll do it with you. And I remember where we were. I don't remember all the words because I'm sure my heartbeat was like 190 or something. But, you know, she stayed there with me, and I had like a conversation and told him that he hurt my feelings and what he said was inappropriate. And I had never done that in my life. And so it's like, that was something like, I remember that lesson, and I learned that lesson that I was probably supposed to learn at, I don't know, 8, 10 years old. I learned that lesson at 21 years old outside of a 12-step meeting. And with my sponsor, like I was probably so close to her. I was like my arm was linked with her because I was so nervous, and it was fine. So that's just one of the things that I remember, you know, and obviously communication has deepened in, you know, since then, but like that was the first time I remember doing that. I don't know.
I don't remember my first healthy communication in recovery at all. I know a ton of unhealthy ones, but that touches a subject, and then we'll jump to you, McKenzie, like the communication piece. Like, I don't know if you've obviously, I wouldn't be here without her for real, but like you and me being able to sit back and watch the woman that you have become, knowing your struggles with certain things and like in recovery has been, and I'm not here to kiss your butt or nothing, like your sense of peace and calming and like communicating. And remember when Adam and I, we had trouble, and like her and Daniel, that was 11 years ago, or probably y'all sat us down. Like we had to surround ourselves in our marriage with healthy marriages, not perfect marriages, healthy people that were married in our situation, recovery.
Because there are no perfect marriages.
Absolutely not.
There's
no perfect parent or nothing. I don't know any. If you are, you might want to just check that real quick. But just like the sense of like learning how to communicate with my husband, like communicate with my staff. And I think I do very well at that. But my hardest learner of my recovery was communicating with the man I love and I want to spend the rest of my life with. So how are you going to be with someone you want to spend the rest of your days with and you can't healthy communicate with, right? Or that didn't even sound right, healthy communicate. So I had to we both had to do a lot of work, and it still isn't perfect, but it is great. Like I talked to him about stuff that I was scared to, and we're not going to really get too much in here, but like this stuff as a woman that I was scared to death to talk to him about, and we've literally been together for 14 years. So this past year specifically has been the best year of our entire life in our marriage because of communication, 100%. Of taking the barriers down. This is the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. So why are you scared, or what is he gonna think, or like, oh my gosh, I gotta look like the supermodel, and he's gonna leave me, like all this stuff as a woman in my mind is like, I can't, and seeing like your post for like the past year and like following positive, amazing, awesome women on social media is what I use social media for. I have Facebook is pretty much Facebook is gone. It says here, hey, we're live. So maybe something that you've overcome as a woman, you could help, you know, the women and men too, because I mean, it's just because we have this woman empowerment movement. I have to have, like, John is a huge, huge part of my recovery, and I would not be here without our relationship that we have. You know, Daniel, Mike, y'all's husbands have helped me. So Butter out there, Matthew Cunningham, has helped me through some serious stuff in my recovery. So I got some awesome men that I don't want to sleep with, which is great. So
yeah, I mean, I'll just touch on that communication piece too. I think the closer we get to ourselves and our relationship with our higher power and our God, and really getting to know ourselves and becoming okay with being uncomfortable and being vulnerable, you know, because really it's the fear of they're not going to love me if I express my need, or if I say that makes me feel uncomfortable, or I don't like this, or I'm scared of that. You know, it's very uncomfortable, but you know, it's just like anything, it's a practice. So the more we do it, the more comfortable it gets. I mean, my husband and I, we didn't get the communication education when we were kids, and we have, you know, taken every opportunity we can, you know, outside of, you know, whatever it is, whether it's books, therapy, you know, all kinds of different things to really help us learn how to communicate effectively. And it just takes time, you know, it just does. And I think the more comfortable we are with ourselves, you know, and I wanted to touch real quick. I saw John said the communication, like how do we communicate to our children about
good one.
addiction and recovery. And I can say for me, you know, I started talking to my boys when they were really young about like smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol. And we have a very open line of communication at our house. You know, I've talked to my kids about why people use drugs and why they drink. Like, it makes you feel good. Why are kids going to pressure you? Like, what are they going to say? Like, or what are, you know, maybe you feel like you want to use a drug or alcohol, you know, but I also try to tell them, like, these are like, here are the pros and here are the cons. Like, yes, it might make you feel good temporarily to drink alcohol underage, but what are the consequences of that? And I think our kids too, like, there's so much devastation that we've been through, you know, and that you see that they are aware of, that it's not as, you know, I don't know what they're going to end up like. You know, it used to be for me, like, my biggest fear was my kids were going to be addicted. So I was looking at every private school, which that's not going to help the situation, you know, and realizing that, you know, I think educating people, you know, the children, and letting them know, like, you know, we don't do this, you know, they know our stories. Our older boys know that, you know, their father has been to jail, that their mother has been to jail because we made poor decisions and drank alcohol and drove, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, they don't think that's cool. You know, they think that's like devastating. And so hopefully we keep them on that tip of knowing that, like, this is not, you know, like, they know we don't drink, but we talk about drinking responsibly. Like, their friends' parents might drink, but it's not okay to get in the car with their friends' parents if they've been drinking, you know, type of thing. So, you know, I mean, I just think that open line of communication, that's all I can do. And when they ask us questions, you know, we actually have been talking about video games, and the addiction to video games is kind of like the addiction to drugs. Like, it makes you feel good temporarily while you're doing it. And then afterwards you feel like crap, you're mean, you know, but your brain is in control. So it's almost like this powerless feeling of like, oh, you know, one of my kids was banned from Fortnite, and then he's like my total rule follower, doesn't want to make poor choices, and he lost it. And then we caught him playing it like that night when he knew, like, he snuck on the game. First of all, he snuck to the game, and he played the Fortnite game. So, you know, we had to have this conversation immediately. He's like, I'm so sorry. I knew this was wrong. And I'm like, this is like drugs. You didn't want to do it, but your brain was like, more. And so in some ways it's like not an excuse, but it's not really his fault because it takes over your brain. You made the decision. But so anyway, it's kind of that whole thing. But for me personally, overcoming fear of being in the world,
Mhm.
you know, and you guys know this about me. I was afraid to be in the world. I was afraid of everything. I was terrified of, you know, and then the pandemic hit and I'm like, oh damn, I've been preparing for this my whole life, you know? And I'm like, I can do this. And actually for some odd strange reason, actually in the last few years, I have way less fear. And again, it's kind of I don't know the miracle formula. I do a lot of yoga. You know, your body holds on to every memory that it's ever had and ever experienced. So when you move your body in certain ways, you have this release of emotion and tension. And so there's more to it than just stretching and more than just the physical moving of the body. That's helped me tremendously. I've been going to therapy on and off since I got sober. So overcoming fear, you know, just really going inside, and shame, you know, shame is a big part of, you know, lots of areas that we, you know, I mean, yeah. So whether you get shamed as a child, whether you have shame from society, whether it's some sort of conditioning we have to have this shame that our bodies aren't looking like the magazines, that starts at a young age. Whether it's shame of, you know, like, you're in addiction. You're in recovery. We all have our struggles. It's okay. You know, also like, you know, I don't feel ashamed to be in recovery, but sometimes I get this like jolt to the chest when people are like, when they treat me like, oh, you poor thing. I didn't know that about you. Like, oh, you're so broken. And I'm like, dang, I do not feel broken now, you know?
Now after they judge you right in front of you.
You know, getting left out, you know, if you know, people, I think the biggest thing too is like people assume that because you don't drink or do drugs, or I'm just going to keep it on drinking for me, like, because that's, you know, socially acceptable. And, you know, we can talk about mom wine culture here if we want to, because it's acceptable if you're drinking wine as a mom whenever you want. But if you're in the closet drinking a bottle of vodka, man, that's a real problem, you know? So where's the disconnect there? Why can't, you know, so I have that's a whole nother topic for another day. But yeah, I think that the shame piece, being able to overcome, you know, again, it's all that inner work, you know, decluttering the internal house and the external house, you know, they go together. So if a lot of times you'll find, if you are doing a lot of inner work, I mean, you're a purger anyway, so you purge your whole house, you know, but a lot, you know, there's a whole thing of like hanging on to physically, you know, externally. If your house is full of clutter, your internal house is full of clutter, you know, so you aren't clearing out too. And so yeah, are we time up?
No, I like that. I was like, as soon as you said purge, I was like, no, I never did that as a kid, like, you know, binging.
Oh no, I mean things.
No, and you're right. Like they know I don't like things. I don't have things. I mean, I have necessities. I don't have, my house is a little rancher. I just don't, I don't need, you know, I don't know. I have everything I need and I love it. But to touch on John's for 2 seconds, and then I kind of wanted to get some tips on like moving forward with school and like the COVID and stuff, is like, John taught me a long time ago to drug test my daughter. So I've been drug testing Destiny. She's 18 now since she was 12 years old. I mean, I've been not like every week or, you know, she will not pee in a cup. So we've been doing the mouth swabs for 6 years. And actually it's time, I haven't done one in a long time because I trust her. So now we're at a point of our life, you know, and she's had some situations, you know, drinking and stuff already. But the biggest thing Adam and I, which is my husband, could do for them is to stay in long-term recovery. Destiny has been to funerals with me. They know, her and Wyatt both have literally, I mean, I have a different, I guess, outlook on it or situation, because they've been here at McKenzie since Wyatt was born, literally, and Destiny since she was 5. So they've seen, well, where did so-and-so go away? Well, Destiny started picking up quicker that it's jail, or they're, you know, passed away or whatever. Like, if you're out there and like you're a parent in recovery, like having those open conversations, and Earth people ask me for advice all the time. We call them Earth people. How do I talk to my teenager about drugs? I said, you have an open conversation with them. Like, the relationship that I have with my daughter is a relationship I never thought I could even dream of. Definitely not. And I love you, Mama, but not the relationship I ever had with my mom. As far as the stuff that she tells me and talks to me about, I just never in a million years, like, I don't know. I just didn't think that would happen. And that is like y'all do with your boys. And I know y'all talk with your boys already, and they're young. It's like having the open door of, like, if you drank at a party, you're punished for a year, like, and blah, blah, blah. And we just don't do that in our home. I mean, she did get a consequence, but it was, she hated us. She was running away, and that lasted for literally 24 hours. And God put people in my life that are some of my best friends, and like they were able to talk to her. But anyway, that was years ago. And like now, like I have to understand, and I think it was you or maybe someone else that taught me my daughter has her own higher power. So me trying to control and micromanage everything that she did was a huge detriment to my soul, not just my recovery, but like literally my soul, because I'm always in fear. But I still do track her on the app and stuff. But I do have an app, and she's 18. She's an legal adult. She lives in our house, though. I do it in case of emergency. Like, there's accountability piece that I just didn't have as a kid either. That Adam and I, we just raise our kids completely different how we were raised. I mean, that's how you communicate with them, not just, oh, that's cool, you took a bong hit with your friends. Well, Destiny, do you know weed's laced with fentanyl now? This is like legit conversations I have with her. Like, I just found out, or rape, like all the stuff that that we weren't talked about, and I think, some of the stuff that I went through, and again, it was a different time back then, obviously. I mean, that was like 100 years ago when I was her age. But I just think it's important to like communicate with your children at an early age and what is age appropriate. I mean, we didn't talk about bong hits when she was 6, but we started talking about weed really because she would show me on these social medias, these ding dongs smoking weed on social media. And I've helped some of her friends through this process, and a lot of parents that she's known. And then the coolest part is I am certified the cool mom, and we're the cool house because the parents know it's safe to come to our house because we don't have drugs and alcohol there, So, and other people might think that's lame, but from my experiences, I've had some like you where it's judgy, but just from having my career at McShen, it's more of like so much more acceptance. Just 2 seconds, his baseball team took Adam and I in, and took us in knowing we were in recovery. Not that they, are going to say no, because at least we were in recovery. You can't be on our baseball team. But it's like the awesomest people I've ever met that were Earth people that just love us in our recovery, It's really cool. So let's transition really quick.
Can I touch on something real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, the Earth people and all of that, I personally don't believe in that. I believe that, like, we are all more alike than we know.
Yeah.
And so there's really no, like, if you want to put us in a box here as addicts, then we're going to stay in the box.
I'm not in
right.
the box.
So, like, if you want to look at it like, hey, we all struggle.
Yeah.
This is just one of we struggled with addiction, but we have been recovering for a very long time. So I love the idea of just like embracing and integrating everything, that it's not just like, oh, we are different than other people that are out there, because we're not, because everyone has their own struggles, whether it's with food or with money or with
their job,
their children or their marriage or, sex or whatever it is, everyone's got their struggle. Ours is just addiction. So we're not broken. And we don't we come in here sick, right? And we get better. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to say that because I think that is kind of in that shame box of like, oh, we are this, and those normal Earth people are different.
Are normal.
Yeah. And what's normal?
We are as normal as they are.
Right.
Right. As anybody.
So, and and in some ways, like, and I don't mean this to toot my own horn, but in some ways we are much healthier than the average person in society right now too. And I don't say that like, oh, I'm so healthy, but we've been taking the road less traveled, right? So like most people are not going inward as much as people that either do 12 steps or, learn more. Like you were talking about, like you don't go to 12-step meetings as much anymore, but you found, all these other pathways to really open yourself up to healing.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important that we maybe rethink the language that we use, just because then it allows that shame to continue to creep in, even to the newcomer of like, oh, well, I'm different.
Yeah.
You're not really that different.
No.
We're just struggling right now. And we're going to get better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And then again, 13 years, you got to remain teachable.
Always, forever.
Always.
Yeah.
And I've never thought of it in that perspective.
Me neither. Damn. I told you
know?
I've been following you, girl. Now you're off social media shit.
But it's true. Like, I feel as close to some of my friends who are not in recovery as I do to others in recovery, and we have so many more common things among us than differences.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I think it's just a part of human nature to offset, or put it in boxes or whatever.
Compartmentalize, sure.
I guess for me, it's just because I deal with it every day, and I do have to unfortunately see the negative outlook on the people that hate on us, people in recovery and outside of it. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like now, and I was talking to Adam about this like all these years later, and y'all too, it's like we have the lives you talk about your 5 things. I don't even know what my 5 things were. It was just not being dope sick, not having the symptoms of dope sick, not being dope sick, not being dope sick, and not being dope sick. Were all 5 of mine. To be dead honest with you, when I came to McShin, it wasn't, I'm getting my daughter back because I didn't know if I wanted to be a mom. It was a ton of different things. I just didn't want to be withdrawn, and I didn't want to keep doing the things I was doing to get money, period. And obviously that's evolved and that's great. But yeah, that's awesome. So now I will hopefully never use that again.
Never say never.
I know.
You'll
Never
try.
say never. Justin Bieber's my jam. All right. So just really quick, looking at my notes. So just a couple minutes each, because I know we're running, of like just to give some advice to our audience, if they are parents, mom, dad, whatever, kind of like, what is the future going to look like? Or just give them something like, since all of us have school age kids, with the COVID and with virtual learning or going back to school, just to give them, because I know a lot of moms that are single moms and newcomers to recovery and have 3 kids or whatever. And just something out to our audience and like, just to give them a little bit of hope that it's going to be okay.
So I'll say 2 things on that topic. One is that like one of the things I learned early in recovery that's probably the hardest lesson that I continue to learn is that that I should and that I need to ask for help. And I don't want to be a mom alone. And so because I've learned to ask for help as a mom, I go to my friends and say, what did you guys do about this? And I go to the moms in my neighborhood, and we are like, the moms in my neighborhood, like we're literally raising our kids as a village. And
that's so cool.
That's been one of the biggest blessings, again, of recovery, is like learning that not just to do it, but that it's okay, and to encourage other people to do the same thing. And so I think, especially in this environment of children going back to school, whether virtually, et cetera, whatever the situation is, like, I know that I don't have to take that on alone today. And I don't mean alone just like because I'm not a single mom. I mean alone like in my community. There are places that are, offering services and just reaching out to other moms and saying like, maybe we could do something together, And the other thing I'll say just real quick is, for like when school started becoming a topic and what we were going to do, I realized that for a couple weeks I had been saying out loud and to myself, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I just can't do this. I have no idea how this is going to happen. I can't do this. And I was really negative about what the choices were and how I didn't have any control and all this stuff. And like literally one day, I don't know if it was something I heard or just something that my higher power fed into me, but I can do anything that I tell myself I can do, right? And that mindset is everything. And McKenzie and I were just talking about this the other day, like literally, all I have to do is change that verbiage. I can do this. I'm not going to do it alone, but I can do it, and it will be successful, and we will get through it. And every day is not going to be beautiful and pretty and graceful, but like my kids are going to emotionally and mentally and physically survive this. Yeah. And I can do this. And all of a sudden, I stopped talking so hateful about it. And, you know, like those people, I can't believe, you know, and just, I really kind of just changed that perspective on being angry and saying like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to get through it. Yeah. And it might leave some scars, but, and it's just amazing what that, like just that, those like simple sentences, that self-talk, what that can do to change the perspective, because perspective is everything, and what it can do just moving forward and finding a solution. So anyway.
Yeah.
Well, acceptance for me. I mean, first when COVID hit and I had to work full time and have Wyatt in school and try to teach him stuff that I had no idea how to teach a fifth grader because I wasn't, I did a lot of drugs in school, you know, and then like even with this and like talking to you, but it was this acceptance for me. Like, shit, this is what it is. I got to accept it, changing my whole mind and my whole household's mind frame of, well, he's going to school supposedly. But if that turns to virtual, okay, well, what is this going to look like for us? Not freaking out, you know, if COVID, like it just is what it is. So it's like, I just had to like, and then through COVID, us and another best friend, Stacy of ours, like that support network of like being moms and doing weekly Zooms was amazing. And that got me through. But my biggest hand is just accepting what my life is today and how, you know, how can we do it and just change if we need to change it and just kind of go with the flow. I told Adam, I was like, I've been through way worse than this. Like, you know, COVID comment, you know, virtual school, let's go.
I will say that I have not accepted it yet.
She's got 3 though.
I got not there,
really,
but I am seeking a solution.
Well, you're aware, right? So after the awareness, then becomes the acceptance. And after you've accepted it, then you can find the peace in it. Right. So it's a process, like everything. We all know that. I will say for me, I mean, I go back to the basics, you know, like I still say it. We can do anything one day at a time. People survive prison for years and years. They don't think about how long they're going to be in prison. They think about, what do I have to do today? They, you know, when we get sober, you can't think about, oh man, I can't drink when I get married.
I did that.
Yeah, you're right. Me too. And then someone reminded me gracefully that just for today, you don't have to drink.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can do that. So that's kind of how I've lived in this pandemic, you know, and also like when you have a newborn, you know, I had 2 out of 3 crying ass babies, you know, and like, I remember thinking on the 3rd one, I was like, all right, 1 year, it's going to be really hard for 1 year. And so you do whatever it is for your family that works. You know, there's a lot of, this thing, I don't know what the best decision is. It's all an experiment. None of us know what's best, but we can get quiet and learn and be aware of, okay, what can I do? What is the best situation for me right now? If you have to, you know, whatever it is that you need to do, you know, for some people, it's, you know, stay up later or get up earlier or whatever, you know, whatever it is that you need to do to get the most peace in your life with the schooling situation, do that. You know, maybe you entertain some meditation into your practice in the morning. Just get quiet and maybe listen to what is available to you, and the answers will come. And so, and the thing that Rachel said, like asking for help, oh gosh, that's so hard. But I also think during the pandemic, we've become closer in community. And so that is like kind of going back to when Brene Brown talks about how before washing machines, women were washing their clothes
Yes.
down by the river.
Mhm.
And then they developed washing machines, and there was a widespread depression because the women weren't together, you know. And in some ways, you know, there's a lot of heartache and a lot of heartbreak and a lot of things that are really wrong in the world right now. But if we can focus on what's right in the world and what's right in our communities and how we can do better and get our needs met by asking for help, our lives will be forever changed for the better. But focusing on the negative and what's not working is not going to make you any happier, you
Right.
know? So
Yeah. So like, yeah, just stay positive, ladies and gentlemen, to the best of your ability. Definitely reach out for help. You know, there's a ton of other services. If you need McShen, y'all know where to find us. And just, you know, to the best of your ability, don't use, you know, that's the biggest thing for me. And during this, because I wanted to get drunk in the beginning of COVID, and these two taught me out. Not that I was like on the verge of like going, but as soon as the advertisement says we can deliver alcoholic beverages to your home, I was like, damn, I'm gonna get drunk, ain't nobody gonna know. I'll take one shot and be drunk, and my husband will tell the world. So
that would be terrible.
but it just I know
Horrible.
I know.
Really.
But just saying, like, even with all of these years, you know, my addiction is still, like you said, it's part of my memory, and, you know, it was 14 years of my life. So we have to remember, like, we have to have these tools and utilize the tools, reaching out for help, getting other services if we need it, but also looking within and healing yourself so you can get through these things. Like you said, you were made for this. I was not made for this. And I said that all the time daily. I was like, I'm not made for this. You know, God did not make me this way. And it worked out. I'm fine. You know, life is great. And yeah, I think it's just, you know, you got to just focus on today and how you can go through your day and try to be happy. And the biggest thing for me is helping somebody else, you know, and
remembering that happiness is fleeting. We're not always happy.
Oh, gosh,
We don't
you
always
know?
have to be.
No.
Right. And I
No.
think one thing that is important is when I got sober, I just wanted to be happy all the time,
yeah,
right?
but what is happy?
Right. It's like now I strive just to be content. And I'm
Yes.
content even during the
And
pandemic.
we wouldn't know happiness if we didn't know sadness.
Right.
Exactly
You know,
right.
so
right.
like
Yeah.
both of those are okay.
Yeah. And it is okay to be negative every once in a while. Just
Yeah.
don't stay there very long.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think also the negativity helps you grow in other areas of your life,
Sure.
because you're like, when you go through negative stuff or you're, you know, the school or whatever, it's like, wait, you know, I think for me, my negativity and the stuff is like, it makes me appreciate what I do have even more,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
It just pushes us to be a better person.
Yeah.
Better human, you know.
So, all right, Todd, I know. Zip it. But we went a little over, you know, great topics. You know, we love you guys. And thank you both. Very, very special women in my life. And I would not be here without you guys. Like, literally, seriously. You know, this is what gets us, you know, going. You know, I saw some new people in recovery responding like, we're nothing different than you, we're nothing special, it's just we have longer recovery time and we worked on our souls for a very long time, and it's been a process. So you can do this too, just like us, and differently than us. Everybody's path is different and it evolves. It's just starting somewhere. We all have to start somewhere, and then look where our somewheres have gotten us. So y'all are badass women, and I love you, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're glad. Like, girl, I'm getting a sitter. I'm getting out of here.
Oh,
Get some Starbucks.
Yeah.
She
All
got
right. We love you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
One thing we do here, we always educate our participants. I want you to leave here after your 30, 60, 90 days, or however long you stay and leave. I want you to be educated about the disease of addiction, about substance use disorders, what you need to do to personally recover. But I want you to know why we don't have the support we should have. I want you to know where all the funding goes, what the thinking is of our culture, why we're the way we are. And just for the record, everybody put their right hand down. I hereby deputize each and every one of you as an ambassador to be a face and voice of recovery from here on out. You've just been deputized. You just became ambassadors of a recovery movement, an authentic recovery movement. What authentic means is by people in recovery themselves. This is our call to action.